Ladies and gentlemen, sit back, put your feet up. It's time for the Other Three Amigos podcast with Declan McCormack, Wayne Mullins and Dan.
Three lads, one podcast.
On this week's episode of the Other Three Amigos podcast, our liver-loving friend Eileen subs in for Wayne Mullins once more. We discuss our lovely new merch. Is Sean Murray headed back to Glentoran? And Jaden Uma is heading to Benfica. 2 years on, Decky discusses the fappening. We go to our mailbag, discuss all the usual football shite, and Decky fiddles around with his knob. All of this and more on this week's episode of the Other Three Amigos podcast. Welcome to the Other Three Amigos podcast. Lads, I forgot how to do the intro. Season 4, episode 37, episode 216 in total. 1 week off, and I've already forgotten how to do it. Your award-winning podcast. A reminder, we are on Patreon, patreon.com/ToeTap. Join us on Patreon from €5 per month, or if you want to help us out a little bit extra, you can give us a tenner, but you're still getting the same amount of shit there. We'll be ramping up our stuff for our 40th anniversary very soon with 40 for 40. Be sure to retweet the pod, as it's so important to help us grow. Even the odd like helps here and there. The proud sponsor of Jack Doherty's Boots. We're still at 140 from Marymount. Did we say if Jack doesn't score, whatever? What was the case with that again? So
what we said, if he doesn't start and Cork City score, it's a tenner a goal.
Okay.
And that tenner, so there was a tenner from the Brien game the other night because he didn't start and City scored. What we're open to is the day he...
What about his missus having a baby? That surely gets...
We'll get to that in a second. I just need to clarify this now first, I think, which is what happens when he doesn't start and he scores off the bench. That's 30 quid because it's a tenner because he hasn't started for the goal. But then he has scored. So, I mean, according to what we've said, I think that's 30 quid that, and we kind of can't change it now, like.
Yeah, so what is it at? It's at 150?
40,
are we saying?
140. Plus the add-ons.
Okay. Well, Declan McCormack, I'm already spieling away with you. How are you? You have a soundboard tonight. You got the Damien Shreenan full-on road soundboard at your disposal. Used it on Last Damus last night. How did you get on with it?
Yeah, it was great fun. I mean, this thing is a monster. Like, Shreenan decided he didn't want it anymore.
We haven't heard it in so long.
Which is it? The fapping sound?
We haven't heard it in ages on this podcast.
Oh no, sorry, that's jacking off. Sorry. I'm looking for fapping. Story about the fapping song, no, actually. But not sure whether I want to tell it or not because I'm not sure I'm the best of... So wow. I picked this up, got this off Shreenan over the weekend, set it up in the office. Daughter comes in, of course, "Oh, Daddy, what's that?" You know, says, "Oh, look, this is fancy gig. It plays all the different sound. Oh, can I listen to some?" Of course you can. Put on the earphones there and press any of the random buttons, and she's pressing away and listening to the music and everything else. Next thing she says, "Daddy, is that sound somebody trying to clap?"
Oh, no.
Oh, God.
Yeah, we'll go with that. Yeah, we'll go with that. Look, run out to the kitchen there now and see what Mabby is up to, you know.
Oh, my God.
Great parenting.
Did she go in and tell Mammy?
What, the daddy has a funny clapping sound on his new soundboard? No, as I said, she's 5. She went away happy with somebody trying to clap. So we leave it at that and pray she never finds out any differently.
Eileen Ring, you're also experiencing the joys of parenting on this fine evening. How are you?
I'm good now. I've been roped in last minute again. Wayne Mullins he's not a great man for the organisation, really, is he?
Think you need to call the HR manager about that.
I know. Who is the HR manager?
Decky.
Oh, Christ.
God help us all.
Well, we have a new employee on ToeTap as well, in the form of Duncan Noonan.
Would he like to do HR? He'd be better than Decky.
He did his first match report for us. You could check it out. Is it toetap.ie?
Yeah, Dan. Yeah, our website that we own, toetap.ie.
I didn't know it either, Dan. It's okay.
Yeah. How?
One of the toe tappers has huge plans to redo the whole website. Has already told us that all the work is started and has begun. I would encourage nobody to hold their breath until such time as they see the new website, because you might be waiting a while, but we'll see how things go anyway.
We'll just give out about the City one in the meantime. While that's going on, it's time to talk Academy Watch. Under 20s drew 0-0 away to the Finger Lickers. KFC under 17s beat Kerry 4-1 in Kerry. Harrington by 2. Is that a right name? Dummigan. Or is that just a typo? Or is it Dunnigan? Dummigan is actually a surname.
Dummigan.
Is there not
Be
a fella
very
for
careful
Derry?
now, Jen.
There's
Be
a fella
very
plays
careful.
For Derry.
Cameron
scored a
Dummigan,
goal, is he?
yeah. Cameron Dummigan, plays for Derry, and Ben Dummigan plays for our under 15s and came on for the under 17s the other day and scored in the last 10 minutes. Centre back, very good player by all accounts.
And there was an own goal. Under 15s lost 3-2 at home to Galway in the first game of phase 2 of that competition. It's a cup game, is it? And then under 14s won 3-1 away in Waterford. The under 15s is a cup game, that competition.
No, I think it's phase 2. So you play phase 1, and then a number of clubs go into the elite section, and then the other clubs play out in a geographically suitable kind of
venue,
shield or cup, shield type competition. But I think City are in the elite because they're in with Shamrock Rovers and those guys, who I presume would all be in the elite section. So I presume we are as well.
Right, it is time to go to Commie Watch.
I have the two of them. Which one we have? Commie North Korea.
Commie Watch with
our traditional Commie.
Commie Watch with Ivan Draco.
I always liked the traditional one. I did always like the traditional, but we haven't heard the North Korean one in so long. I think go North Korea. Well, we're doing both now and realistically at this point.
Yeah, so.
Commie Watch with 유미키만 더 얻어 삼어미 포즈 팟캐스트.
Alright, that's enough.
Declan McCormack, how are you feeling after the news Sean Murray's probably leaving?
Yeah,
definitely
it's a
leaving?
funny one, isn't it? I don't think it's it's hard to know, to be honest, isn't it? You're trying to read between the lines of what Tim Clancy said in the press conference last Thursday, where he said he clearly wants to keep Sean. I think there's lots of people around the club want to keep Sean, but then he also says he's Glentoran's player and it's up to Glentoran. And to be fair, Glentoran are due back for pre-season on the 15th of July. They're expecting Sean Murray back for that. I know Tim Clancy said that his loan was until the end of July. So I don't know, did Tim misspeak there, or is there a little cross wires or whatnot? But what we've been told out of Glentoran is that they're expecting him back on the 15th. And so we'll have to wait and see what happens. Can we keep him here? Look, we can. Will we? I think it's unlikely, I think, at this stage, based on what we're hearing.
That Devine wants him back at Glentoran.
Well, yeah, I mean, when we signed Sean on loan, I think it was widely accepted he had no future at Glentoran. I think Glentoran accepted that. I think Sean Murray probably accepted that. Cork City accepted it. But then things changed and there was a new manager went in there and Decky Devine went in there. And obviously Decky remembers, he would have been around the League of Ireland when Sean Murray was doing Sean Murray things at Dundalk in the Europa League and the rest of it. And Decky Devine remembers that player, sees how well he's doing down here, and Decky has complete control of all football matters now with Glentoran and decides he wants him back. And that completely changes everything for everybody involved. And Glentoran were telling people on the 24th of May that Sean Murray was going back up there for pre-season. So that's 6 weeks ago now. So I don't think, Tim Clancy, to be fair, said he hasn't spoken to Declan Devine, and that's fair enough. I believe that, but there's no way that Cork City haven't spoken to Glentoran in that 6 weeks, you'd imagine, unless Glentoran have been completely negligent in how they're dealing with the situation. But yeah, as far as Glentoran are concerned, Sean Murray heads back there. We can maybe try and put a deal together to keep him here if we so wish, but Tim Clancy clearly wants to, but do Cork City Football Club want to? That's the question.
Eileen, another departure. Jaden Uma is headed to Benfica, as confirmed by Tim Clancy. How are you feeling about that one?
Yeah, I think that was pretty expected. Obviously, look, for him personally, it's a brilliant move, and he did that bad injury, and I think an injury like that can throw these moves up in the air a bit, because they're obviously going to have to sign him, I suppose, without a medical. But look, he's a young lad, and it's a great move to look a really good city in Lisbon, and this is a traditional powerhouse of European football, and he's a loss to us. Like, there's no doubt about it, because I think we've seen in glimpses and moments how good he can be. But look, best of luck to the lad, because you can't begrudge lads moves like that, to be fair. It's kind of dreamland stuff. And obviously there was maybe a little bit of hope for us a few months ago, where we were thinking, there was kind of rumours going around that he might hold on till he was 18, but said it's very hard to kind of turn these moves down, and you don't know, and especially then off the back of an injury like that, like, you don't know, that can change someone's entire mindset as well, because you're like, it can be a very short career, like, through no fault of your own, is like with injuries. So I think, best of luck to the lad, and look, I'm sure it's another career. As City fans, look, it's kind of a great thing, I think, that we can watch on and see all these lads who've come through our academy. Like, I personally, and I think most City fans, there's a great deal of pride in it, seeing a Cork lad do well, isn't there?
Oh, usually when you look on at like Jacob Brien at Leon, like, you want to support them and you want to see them do well. Or well, not host on the pod, but our host for the pod service has departed.
Yes.
I think due to his shitty internet connection.
It's a 40-minute
So it's going to be myself and Eileen for the next day.
Yes! We did it. John O'Sullivan, we did it. We got rid of Decky for a short pod.
Well, look, let's talk. Well, let's get into the nitty gritty a small bit, Eileen, while we have the opportunity before Decky comes back. The new merch. Hoodies were added to our lovely line of t-shirts. Eileen, you yourself actually were at the photo shoot.
I was, by complete coincidence. I was for a run out in the Mardyke, and whatever I looked up ahead, I could see Dougie and the camera out, and next thing I saw Howie's big curly head, and I was like, oh geez, I'm about to run into a signing out there, going to be raging. I started shouting at Dougie, and I was like, what am I missing? And Howie was like, nothing, it's just our new shitty gear. So
and
obviously,
he wasn't wrong.
I think he must have been listening to the podcast. But yeah, look, I'm not a massive fan of it, and I've been in Douglas Village a couple of times the last few days, and like, the club shop is wall to wall with it. It's covered in it. Like, they brought in a huge amount of it. Like, so I hope it does sell. I didn't go in and look at the quality of it or anything like that, but I just think it looks desperate. Like, as Wayne said, like, we know we're Cork City, it doesn't need to say it twice, like, but the bucket hats are nice, aren't they? There's pink bucket hats.
Well, the bucket hats are a plus, but look, let's not focus on the positives for now. They're absolutely shocking. Like, the Revolut logo at the side, you know, the Revolut, that's what I first thought. I was like, Jesus Christ, we got a new sponsorship off Revolut here. It looks, the image that looks the exact same.
I'd probably rather, though, it looked like a Revolut symbol than it looked like that the sleeves say Ra, because that's kind of a whole other problem, really, isn't it? If Ra clothing, it's not, might be a little bit problematic. So I'll accept that it looks like a Revolut symbol over it's in Ra, because I think that's...
Well, as somebody said in the group chat today, let's just hope they don't start the international Rebel Army clothing anytime soon.
Yeah.
Decky, we're talking about the absolute shocking merch. We talked about Eileen's interruption of the photo shoot, but your fears were basically confirmed that if this is the route we're going down, it's worrying. It is worrying. Well, we can't hear you there now.
We can't hear you. Oh, he looks really distressed as well.
Oh God, he's panicking now.
Why is he just staring at his microphone?
We're back for round 2 on whatever way Decky's edited this. Declan McCormack, everybody. I would not have I would never have admitted this. He was on mute for ages there, and he was going absolutely apeshit on the camera because we couldn't hear him for ages. We had to restart, we had to leave, we had to come back in. There might have been no pod, but then we just hear the revelation after he does a bit of fiddling. He had the mute button pressed on the shagging soundboard. So Declan McCormick, it's good to have you back anyway.
Yeah, I mean, you got to give it a little context, right? For some reason, my internet dropped, so I got cut off. So when I came back in then and tried to rejoin, you guys saying you can't hear me, and I couldn't figure out why, because it was like all the settings are the same, but I didn't realise I had pressed the mute button on my microphone on the soundboard, because I'm not used to using the soundboard. So I was really hoping you'd give me a bit of leeway, Jan, and a bit of encouragement, but no, you've just thrown me to the wolves, so all the toe tappers can piss themselves laughing at my inaptitude. But look, I'm okay with that, because it was my fault. So
well, look, did you pitch yourself laughing at the Rebel Army clothing launch?
To a degree, yeah. I mean, look, it is what it is. It is a bigger version of, like, we'd seen the t-shirts hanging on the hangers in the club shop, and we had to go about them. Then when they come out with the hoodie in the same way, look, I mean, we said it all last week or 2 weeks ago. I guess the only thing that kind of struck me was the whole idea behind the Rebel Army clothing brand is that it was something that could go beyond Cork City fans. That, you know, as Scotty said, any Joe Soap would be willing to wear walking down Patrick Street at 2:00 on a Saturday. These are the first lines from that brand, and they can only be worn by Cork City fans. You know, there's nobody in Armagh or Dublin or Sligo or anywhere.
Maybe not even Cork City
only be
fans.
worn by Cork City fans under the age of 10.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, I think, like, you got to remember, like, they probably sell a number of them simply because City fans are loyal to the club and will buy, or a certain percentage will buy stuff, you know, just because it is branded Cork City and whatnot, you know. But as I said, the whole idea of the RAC brand was to go beyond Cork City and to become a brand that could be worn by everybody, and that's certainly not a good start to that branding anyway, in my humble opinion. Like, Gauquain isn't here, so, you know, we're without a definitive voice.
I have been informed by an unnamed source that some of the playing gear is lovely. I haven't seen it myself, but I've been informed by an unnamed source that it's very nice.
Well, look, that's good. This mute button is killing me. That's good, because your jerseys are your biggest sellers, no matter what happens. Like, so if the jerseys are good, that's a very positive sign anyway.
The actual, like, hoodies and gear themselves, I mean, the fact the logo is massive, and it basically says Cork City 3 times. It has Cork City at the top, the crest, which is Jesus Christ, it's massive, and then the Rebel Army underneath. Like, it's definitely not something. It's not the casual wear maybe I was kind of expecting, or the vibe I thought I was picking up, that it was just going to be the everyday stuff. Maybe we just went ahead and assumed that.
But maybe we've set the bar so low, the only way is up now. Like, it can't get worse than what's out now.
Do you think they did it tactically?
Yeah, it was a tactical release.
Jeez, I had many
just
of
going to
those in my
say
day.
the same thing. It's frightening. Like, I was just going to say the same thing, that, you know, just flip it around and things can only get better from here. Like, so
exactly. It's going to be hit and miss. Gear is hit and miss anyway, and I'm sure there's one or two people out there who thinks they're lovely, and sure, isn't that great? But yeah, the shop's wall to wall with them, so I hope there's a lot of people that think they're lovely, to be honest.
The bucket hats are lovely though, Decky. The bucket hats are lovely. Nice. Here, you're one of the whose hoodie wasn't even ironed in the shoot. I can't remember.
I think it was Ellie's, was it?
Was it Ellie's?
Yeah.
Like, come on. If you're doing a launch and all that, but anyway, look, we could be here all day.
Should Ellie not have ironed her own?
I knew you were going to say it.
When
she shouldn't have.
When she ironed the two lads, shouldn't have ironed her own.
They should be ironing hers because she's a better footballer than them both. So
you can't say things like that.
I can. I just said it.
That's an attack on the lads' integrity.
I wouldn't say that more.
They'll have to get the co-commentators now for the next home games to spend loads of time talking about how good the two lads actually are and how they're way better than Ellie, and it's just underappreciated by the fan base.
News of a training facility on the horizon, Declan.
Yeah, and we spoke about this. Crikey, I don't know how long ago was it. Was it 3 months ago? Where I first broached it and said we were talking to a club and we were looking at doing a deal with them, etc., etc. My understanding is that deal is nearly done. Looks like it will be happening, coming to fruition. It's a crack. It's going to be a good deal for the club. They're going to have a long-term home base, an established Northside club, as I said at the time, and we'll have somewhere, like, it won't be our own because we won't own it, but we will have a long-term deal in place that will allow us access to the facilities, and I presume we'll have offices and things like that on the grounds as well. There will be, over time, there'll be a certain amount of development done there as well, pitches added and things like that. But my understanding is that Cork City will be going in there, but there won't be any capital investment from the club as such. That any of the work that will be done there will be done on the basis of what grants, and that can be drawn down, which there's nothing wrong with that either, So yeah, positive news, just can't say where for the moment, I don't think it's fair yet.
But you do know.
Oh, I do know, yeah. I've known for months.
I know as well, because someone from the club came into me in work and told me about it. So, like, it's common knowledge around the place. It's not a very well-kept secret.
Yeah, well, look, I just don't want to say it, Dan, but I may field questions on it in the coming weeks.
Fair play. You're a good man like that. 2 years since episode 55, the fappening. I didn't realise until it was put in the group chat earlier this week. This was like the one, and this has a bit of toe tap lore to it. And as you said, it wasn't just because it was the first time Jacking Off got played. Or no, was it Jacking Off? Or was Jacking Off?
It was Jacking Off, yeah, because
it was Jacking Off, yeah.
When he was with Wexford, Declan used to love him.
Yeah,
and but it has a bit more. Has a bit more in the toe tap story to
Damien had cameras. Yeah, Damien had cameras in my house that time. He scored twice in a game against Cove, I think, wouldn't it?
I do remember that episode, thinking how funny it was.
Yeah. So that was, look, there's not a whole lot we can say other than obviously we broached some subjects in that podcast. That was 2 years ago, the 29th of June. 2 years have now passed. We've often hinted at letters being exchanged and that. So yeah, look, we're under legal advice not to say anything, but we do just want to say that, there was some letters exchanged between ourselves and another party after that episode. It's all gone away now at the 2-year deadline. We had to wait to see whether there was any court papers filed or not. There hasn't been. We're extremely happy with how it all worked out and the outcome of the whole situation. And just basically say that and say that we can never speak of it again.
That is Dunzo. Will there be a Patreon at some point in the future where you do talk about it?
No,
that'll be it.
We can't. As I said, we're under legal, like we were told to say absolutely nothing, but we just felt like we just have to say something small, and that's about all we can say. But as I said, we're very, very, very happy with the outcome, and on we go.
Eileen, what do you think they did?
We'll never know now, will we? I wasn't involved at the time, thankfully, like yourself. So, yeah, I don't really want to know. Yeah.
Matt Everitt, I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly. Declan McCormack, what do we know about him? He looks like, or is he our potential new signing?
Yeah, well, he was on the pitch on Friday night anyway. Has been training by all accounts. He's number 9. Was at Brighton for a time. Number 9s are premium. Like they're in such short supply in this country. You have to go outside the country for them. You have to try and find them and hope you get lucky a little bit. Look, the problem with signing players these days is all their stuff is online, all their stats are online. I think Matt has 2 goals in 29 games, non-league level in England, and automatically people go, but look, you don't know. You just don't know, and we have to try players and bring them in and see how they get on. And look, you got to trust Tim Clancy that if he has them in training and on trial and things like that for a week, and he's happy to sign them, then we need to say, okay, that's good. We need a 9, so let's get behind them and see what happens.
Elsewhere, Brad Wade makes Team of the Week. Eileen, finally, well deserved.
Very well deserved. Like, one of the first points of contact they need to be doing at the moment is getting him contracted for next season. Like, he's brilliant. He really is. Like, and it's not like, obviously in a game like that, he's busy, so you're staying well. It's the games where he's not busy and then he does something like in the 90th minute to kind of get us 3 points or get us the win. Like they're the thing, like that's what stands out. And I think I said another night I was on, like, we have a serious case of PTSD, I think, as a fan base with goalkeepers after, like, since David Harrington's gone. Like, so I think it's so important to tie him down because he is the real deal. Like, he's excellent. He was outstanding on Friday night. He really was. Was he in that half team of the season? No, he wasn't. The lad from UCD was.
No.
Just bananas.
Yeah,
like.
Cian
No,
Moore.
and like, yeah, but like, I just think he's been excellent. He's done very, very little wrong, to be fair to him. And yeah, tie him down, please.
Decky, would you like to see Brad Wade tied down?
Yeah.
Well, look, a lot of the fan base were crying out for Cian Moore, the UCD keeper. But would you really swap out Cian for Brad? Because he's already settled in. You know, he's proven his worth now at this point, surely. No,
you wouldn't swap him out. But the thing is, you need 2 goalkeepers. You need 2 competitive goalkeepers. I'm not sure our backup keeper, obviously he hasn't seen any minutes. I'm trying to think of his name, Aidan Durham.
Yeah, you enjoyed watching him in pre-season in Fermoy, if I recall.
Yeah, I saw him in the game of Fermoy, look, and Brad is definitely our number 1. So the Cian Moore thing came from just, you want 2 competitive, you want 2 good keepers, you want competition, and in a Premier Division next year, anything can happen, you know, injury, anything else. So you want competent backup. And look, Jesus Christ, that's not to say that the backup at the moment isn't competent. Sorry, that's not where I'm going, or not what I mean. And now I have to explain everything I'm saying.
You're going to call him rubbish now in a second.
But, you know, like, it's just, I think people were looking at Cian Moore's display in Turner's Cross that night, looking at how consistent he's been this year. In fact, he's played Premier Division football and said, okay, let's bring in and have a competition. And Brad will probably win that competition. And then, but you know, you have a level of keeper as backup that is good enough to play in Premier Division football. I think that's where the Cian Moore thing comes from.
Very fair. The club lotto, I don't think this has been discussed here. It's surely into like record-breaking territory now at this stage of not being won.
No, but like, I'm in it and they've definitely cut my name out of the prize draw. Like, out of, do you know the way when it's not win, there's a lucky dip, like, because some people have won the lucky dip about 5 times now and I never win it. Like, put me back in the draw, I'm going to stop doing it. Like, you've definitely cut me out of it.
Like, we discussed doing it, and as toe tap, like, you know, throwing few quid at every week, because just the crack of actually, if toe tap won it, like, if going to collect a check and everything else would just be off the scale, like. But like, if we did it and, you know, say our 4 numbers came out, like, would they publicly announce the toe tap had won it, or would it just be, because nobody sees it, nobody knows where it happened? Like, I don't know where it happens.
Yeah. I presume it's done online. I think a lot of those, like, clubs, like, they go on forever. And I think Damien said this at the start, like, lotteries like that, like my local GA club do one and it goes on for years before it's won, like, and then it'll top out at like 20 grand. They can't go above that with licensing or whatever, and it'll just be at that for ages, like, and then it'll be one and it won't be one again for ages. So, like, but yeah, put me back in. I know you've taken me out of the lucky dip part, and put me back in, or I'm not doing it anymore.
The local GA club here have 3 of them on the go, because 2 of them have topped out. I know there's a third fund building, like, so you're still drawing for the first one, but the second, if the first one is won, then there's a full second one there again, and anything new coming in goes into the third one. Like, it's madness, like, crazy.
Jeez, how much is the
12
city
grand
one to
now?
enter?
It's $5 a week, and it's that's the least you could do, $5 per line, and it's going, next week's jackpot now is 12 grand. I've got an email earlier on. I obviously didn't win the free pass to the next home game versus Finn Harps.
Oh, lucky Jesus.
Because I've been knocked out of it.
You see, you think you're not winning, but you actually are winning. You're winning every week. You just don't realise it.
Cian DeCrow, he was given a lovely City jersey before his gig in, was it Musgrave Park? Anyone see this? Eileen, you've surely seen this.
I did. I actually was out in Tremor Valley Park, my small one, and I heard his full, what's the thing, like a voice check. So I got a free Cian DeCrow gig in the middle of the day, on Friday. But we gave him a jersey, but he didn't wear it. He wore a Cork GA one. You'll be delighted to see.
It away for the Rebel jersey.
Yeah, lad from.
So he went the priority games there.
Yeah, he was giving Big Dan energy.
Who is this guy? Because my wife went
He's-
to the concert, which meant I couldn't go to the match. I was babysitting, and like I never heard of him. She's like Keane the Crow. I was like, who?
Again, like, do you live under a rock? Like,
Is he anything to Glen Crow? You know, like,
Oran
No.
Crow.
Oran Crow. He's
were
something.
people in the front row with programs open with black crows on them, just
with
going,
black crows and go caw, 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 caw. Great
yeah,
memories.
you know, forever. Yeah, brilliant.
No, but
wasn't
he's
it?
from
Fantastic.
he's from Passage, like he's from Cork. He's a Cork lad, so fair play to him. Selling at
Never
Musgrave
heard of
Park, some buzz for him. You will know his
He's
songs.
played on the
Declan,
radio
like,
every 2
you will, like.
seconds.
Never listened to the radio, John.
Oh yeah, our poor.
What do you listen to? You just sit in the car in silence.
He just listens to Les Mis.
No, I'd have.
Listen to his own voice
I'd
in
have-
this podcast.
I'd have podcasts on, or if I listen to the radio, it's news talk, so it's talk radio. Like I don't ever listen to music. Like I couldn't tell you what's happening in terms of music around the world and the rest of it. Like I saw the
But you
Taylor
know what
one
Pat
was in
Kenny's up
Dublin.
to.
All right, no, don't know what Pat Kenny's up to. No idea. Pat Kenny's on RT these days, isn't he?
No, he's a news talk.
Is he?
You've
Okay,
been
that's
outed now as a fake news talk
It's
listener
normal.
as well.
No, generally it would be in the evening if I'm in the car, like, because obviously I'm working during the day, like, so it would be the OTB boys, your old buddies,
Oh, Dan
or
McDonald,
a,
friends.
or a Saturday afternoon there. Yeah, the boys would be on Johnny Ward and Dan and Shane Keegan, and then might be on the old football show there on a Saturday afternoon. I'd listen to that as well.
Little bit of insight. They're actually recorded way earlier in the day, and they're just played out as live.
to
There you
trick
go.
you, Declan.
There you go.
Really? Okay, that's interesting, because like
Yeah.
sometimes they'd be talking about
Sometimes they
matches
are
that
live.
happening. Yeah, I was just gonna say, like,
sometimes there's a slot Dan might do in like 9 to 10. That'd be like the football show. So if there's a match happening on, he'll come in and they'll be talking about that. But Jesus, I'd say 3/4 of them anyway are definitely done earlier in the day. I think John Giles is always 3 or 4. Brian Driscoll's the same. Little bit of insight
yeah.
that no one gives a shit about, I'm sure. The rappers, I don't know, did we talk about this the last time, are holding a live show. Like, is this it in terms of the 40th anniversary? Who are they going to go after here for this one, you know? Like, I know Roy Keane has nothing to do with the club, but he's a huge name who's going to bring value. Like, is it going to be, not to disrespect anyone, a lot of the same names and faces we've seen before, Eileen?
Well, if it's a 40th anniversary celebration of Cork City FC, Roy Keane has nothing to do with it. I adore Roy Keane. Like, it'd be the only.
But he's the Cork
way-
name. He's
Yeah,
a
I
big
know,
draw.
but like, if this is what you're saying, this is what we're doing as a football club for our 40th anniversary. Why would you have Roy Keane? Like, do you know what I mean? I'm not.
I
Yeah,
mentioned that.
so-
now.
Do you know? Like, I don't think. I think. Look, you go after, as you said. Look, and that's the nature of a football club in a city here. So you're going to go after like the big names, whether or not you get them or not, or whether or not they're going to be entertaining. They could have been a very good footballer, maybe mightn't be that entertaining on stage. But look, that Cork Podcast Festival has proven to be very successful, and fair play to them for going after the Opera House, because it's a very, very big venue. It's probably the biggest venue that the Podcast Festival do. So fair play to them, but they will need guests, like, or I think they'll struggle to get a crowd in there, and that's not being disrespectful to the lads. I don't listen to their podcast. I'm sure it's very good, but I think they need guests, and they need big name guests, like
Like Declan McCormack.
yeah, Declan, like, he'd be entertaining there now and tonight. Like, but you need the likes of Georgie Flinney, people that are entertaining, that have good stories to tell. Not people who are just going to go sit up there and toe the party line and say what they're told to say. Like, do you know what I mean? You need.
So you know that's not going to happen.
I know, and look, that's why you'll have to tell me how it was, because I'm not going to be attending.
I don't know
But
how to follow that one.
I am going to the podcast festival, just not to that night.
Eileen, you said there you don't listen to the club podcast. Can I just inquire as to why?
Because because you tell me how fucking awful it is every week in the group. Why would I ever listen to it?
You can't say that.
But that's why. Why would I listen to something that literally every week in a group people are telling me how bad it is? Like, why would I then take an hour out of my day to listen to that? Time is precious.
Oh, can I just put on record, I listen every week, and I don't think I've ever said anything bad about it anywhere in any group. I enjoy it.
I don't think that's what a lie looks like.
That's
my
how we and
word.
Stephen Ryan tell me about Las Damas, actually.
Exactly, and that's fine. That's their opinion and that's their truth. I've no problem with people not liking Las Damas or this podcast. Sure, that's their own business. Like, you're not going to lose sleep over it.
No, definitely not. No sleep last anyway. Okay. I'm sorry I asked, Eileen, but great answer.
But what do you think I was going to do? Lie? Like, I listened to one episode. There was one very good episode. The one I listened to with Kitman. Very, very good.
Who was
Very
on
enjoyable.
that?
What a brilliant guest he was. He was superb. Bring that man back.
We should pay him more. Declan McCormack, who do you think they're going to get for their live pod?
I think it would be who you would expect. I'd imagine Dave Barry, Derek Collin, as you said, maybe John O'Flynn, maybe Georgie. I don't think Georgie would do it, but I presume he'll be asked. John Caulfield, maybe. Pat Morley, maybe. Rico, maybe Pat Dolan. Who knows? Look, I mean, there's a huge variety of people that they can get and they can go to. And look, I know people disagree with me, but I think it sells out. I do think it sells out the Opera House. I think, as I said, I know a lot of people disagree with me, but I do think there's enough City fans who will have enough interest to go. It's just a pity Wayne's not here tonight because he feels very strongly that the club should be doing something else outside of a commercially beneficial venture to celebrate the 40th anniversary of the club, that they should be putting on something for the fans. I can see the merit in that as well, but that's Wayne's truth, so we might come back to it next week when he's back. Mm-hmm. But like I think it'll be successful, and I do you know what? I hope it's successful. I do. Like, I mean, I love my football club. I don't hate my football club. I don't hate anything about my football club, and I know we have our issues in Ireland. Well, we don't have it. Well,
they don't like us. Technically,
they have they have their issues with us. I guess. Look, we probably have some issues with them now at this stage as well. Like, so it is what it is. But as I said, I don't hate anybody, and I genuinely wish them all the best, and I hope they sell it out, and I hope it's a great night for everybody who goes. And whoever goes might tell me as well whether it was a great night or not. You know.
The rappers also had Andrew Ryan on. From what I gathered, he was the one who approached City about their comedy gig that's upcoming. That it wasn't City, went to him. Declan, any thoughts on Andrew?
Andrew's nephew's in the academy. There was brainstorming done around running events and things like that. Liam Carney's been quite open about that. If Andrew Ryan went to the club with this idea, then fair play to him. Fantastic. And again, I hope it sells out, and I hope it's a very successful night. The thing that interests me most is when it's said that it's to raise funds for the club, or raise funds, for the academy and the women's teams. Will we be able to see where that money goes? Like, will we see new gym equipment? Will we see new whatever, footballs, new cones, whatever it might be? Will we see new equipment? Or will it just be that instead of the club paying for the next 5 away buses, that the money generated from that gig and the podcast festival, is that what's used to pay for the next 5 away buses? And therefore, the players actually don't see any benefit out of it. If I hope I'm making myself clear, explaining what I mean. If the club were going to spend 100,000, say, on the women's team this year, and there's 10 grand made in the Everyman, and there's 5 of that for the women's club, does that mean the club are going to spend 100 grand anyway and use the 5k as an extra 5k, or does it just mean that the club's going to spend 95k instead of spending 100k because they take the 5k off the 100k? Does that make sense? I hope it does.
It does.
Yeah, it makes
it
makes sense. Yeah.
Okay. That's my question. That's what I would be interested in knowing and finding out.
I guess in the whole academy thing, and you probably know the structures and football stuff in general a lot more than I do. Let's face it. But if you're a parent, right, and you're paying for your child to go through the whole Cork City Academy, and the great work, to be fair, like Liam Carney and everyone does there, it looks amazing from the outside in. But when it comes to maybe like a negotiation time, if there's a bigger club, a likes of a Benfica maybe, or someone like that comes in for that academy player, and the club are negotiating, putting them up front, saying that's not enough, etc., etc. Is that a bit bad form if the parent has paid for the academy player to get through training that whole time.
It's like, I mean, Dan, it's almost like there was conversations during the week around areas like this. What way do I put it? Like we all know people in the who have kids in the academy and things like that, and we've been contacted by, I think it's 4 different parents, and they've all kind of said the same thing. So I'm wondering whether parents are now talking to each other and saying these things. But on the club podcast, when Dermot Usher was on, he said he pays for the necessities. And the trips abroad for the academy teams are not necessities. They are, what's the word I'm looking for now?
Luxuries.
Luxuries, sorry, yeah. They're luxuries. But now we see Jade Numa is off to Benfica for what we hope would be a nice sum of money for the club. Jade Numa was spotted by Benfica when the academy teams went to Portugal at that time. That was 2 summers ago, wasn't it? So you can say that's a luxury, but the club are actually making a lot of money out of that trip that those young players went on, you know? And that would be my thing, and why I think the club should be funding these trips is because they're not luxuries. They are actually necessities, because whether we like it or not, we're trying to sell players to fund things. And I know there's a bit of cattle marts kind of thinking about it, like, oh, they're only kids and you want to sell them on. But to keep the club going, there's a certain percentage of academy graduates need to be sold. And one way of doing that is these trips, and they're scouted and they're seen. And Jade Numa proves it. He was seen on that trip in Portugal. He's now going to Benfica. The club are going to do quite well out of it. But as I said, we've been contacted by 3 or 4 different parents. And, you know, they're just basically saying, more like they've all said, look, we're happy to pay the money. We're happy to pay for the trip. It's great for the kids. He's my son. He loves going away. They enjoy it. They get great benefit from it. But what they've also said is, you know, along the lines of the fact that his parents have funded him through the city academy and the club does put them in a weak position to negotiate, expect money, etc. should they wish to pursue a career in football and they have options to move on to an actual professional club. No, professional club in England or a professional club in the continent. So what parents are now saying is, that's fine. If we're the ones funding our kids through the academy, then you're in a weak spot if you want my kid, when my kid's is good enough to go to England or go to Europe. You're in a weak spot when it comes to negotiating transfer fees and add-on clauses and everything else, because you haven't funded them through the academy. We as the parents are the ones who funded them through the academy. At some stage, it's going to get messy. At some stage, there's going to be something pop up that creates an issue. And it's not fair on Liam Kearney, because Liam Kearney's doing an unbelievable job. Like, genuinely unbelievable job. I would make Liam Kearney director of football for the whole club in the morning. I've said it umpteen times. And leave him have the whole thing. But he's not. He's in the academy. Obviously, I presume he loves us there. All the parents love him. All the players love him. He does an unbelievable job. But at some stage, these things are going to crop up again and they're going to become issues, I would imagine.
Eileen, have any thoughts on that at all?
Yeah, like, I think parents, look, and we've probably seen this I suppose we've heard stories anecdotally, not just at Cork City, but at other clubs where parents are at the door of the club knocking, saying, why aren't you leaving him go, and this and that. And I see it from a parent's point of view, especially if you're pumping money into something, then they're probably saying, well, why are you holding out for the sake of like 10, 20 grand, whatever it is. I see it from parents' point of view, and equally I see it from the club's point of view. A player is their asset, whether, look, as I said, however much money parents are putting into paying them through an academy, and it's not a Cork City issue, this is a countrywide issue. All the other academies are paying as well. I said I could see it from both points of view, but I think, like, a football club is a business and it'll be run as such. And if a parent, I suppose, isn't happy with how a club is conducting the deal, they just will take the kid and move to another club where they think maybe they'll get the move easier. And that has been an issue that's been touted, I know, with a few players in the past, that, maybe I'll go down to Waterford, or I'll go up to Treaty and I'll get my move easier. And if that's the case, so be it. But I think the important thing with City is that they, I suppose, have a stance, and then you stick to that universally, regardless of, I suppose, what player it's going. You can't kind of bend in how you are towards one player, because that's where it'll get toxic and that's where it gets shitty, I think, with parents. So whereas if people are made aware of this and this is a story as soon as they sign at what's that, at 13 years of age now is realistically where it is. Then there's no confusion over it when it comes down the line. Yes, you are paying this money, but you're choosing to pay this money. Maybe you're not going to be happy that we don't just release them and say on your merry way for free, but that's football. Like, and if you think Cork City are tough in negotiations, I guarantee you when they go to bigger clubs, it get a lot worse. So, yeah, look, I said I see it from both sides, and I think it's something that's probably always going to be an issue, and I think it's going to be a particular issue in Ireland because this is like the money's not necessarily in the game here. We don't have a football industry here or anything like that, so I think it's always going to be a bigger issue here. But I think for me, like, and as Declan spoke highly of him, like someone like Liam Kearney being involved there in the academy, like his best interest will always be for the player, like without a shadow of a doubt, and that's why having someone like him there and involved in negotiations and involved in what's happening is so important, because as Declan said, like, yeah, they're footballers and of course they're academy graduates and it's great to see them move on and make the club a few bob, but like they're people as well, do you know what I mean, more than anything else. And I think having someone like Liam there, that'll never get lost with, like, he will always see the person first, and I think that's so important.
Well, that concludes the first half here, so Tapper come back to us in the second half where we'll have the mailbag. We'll come to the continuity Kevin Thiele review rather, and as well the Wexford preview.
Hey, toe tapper. As you know, everything is increasing in price. Extra small clothes, anger management classes, raw liver is the same price as gold. And kids' sweets used to have 20 per pack and now only have 5 in each one. And Jack Doherty is on course to score 100 goals. And he's going to bleed us dry. We need you to help the gang by joining our Patreon for exclusive pods, news and much more. For $5 a month, you can ensure that Wayne doesn't smash up his laptop, that Dan has really small clothes, Eileen is satisfied, and Declan gets lots and lots of jellies. Head to patreon.com/ToeTap to support the cause.
Welcome back to part 2, so Tapper. We're going to head straight into the mailbag.
Postman pattern in black and white cat. The cat makes race. Early in the morning, one bag of man is yawning. Him pick up all of the post bag in him van. A real bad man. Postman pattern, he mix up cat. Him team light skin. All of the bird them singing, but partner fool him a roll with the big thing. Just in case them try to ride him back.
What a tune. It's like 2 in 1 there. Boring Keane Coleman. I feel like, you know what these words are going to be. I feel like I'm getting to know Jackie well enough to hold his soap in the prison shower.
Jesus.
The heartbreak of relegation is hard to get over. Outside of football, what was your greatest youthful heartbreak? Jesus Christ, Bourne Keane Coleman. Speaking of eternal heartbreak, any update on Dan's love life? Christ almighty. Well, he's been on a bit of a mad one this week, right, with our photos put up. He went through, what was it? We were all compared. He like cast us in a movie.
About Mick Ring on the roof, which was, yeah, I laughed. I did smile. I thought some of them were quite good, to be honest with you.
But
I wasn't overly impressed with my casting.
Who were you? Who was playing you?
I can't remember now. I can't remember.
I had Cheryl Crow. She's not even an actress.
Well, like, to be fair, now the photo he used, you were the bulb off Cheryl Crow, like, genuinely, like, I mean,
it's from 2013.
The red hair and
like,
the whole shebang.
like,
Yeah, Eileen, not to be too rude, he went back a fair bit there to find that one.
That was 2013.
He did a fair bit of snooping.
I'm slightly concerned where he's finding pictures of me from 2013, to be honest, but sure, look.
That's the dogger levels of... I don't know what I'm going to follow that one up with, something anyway. Well, what was your greatest youthful heartbreak? Jesus Christ.
Come, for Christ's sake, like, I mean, my greatest, and he outside of football, like,
He just wants to start crying about lost love, I think.
Yeah, like I mean,
Yeah, like mine's football related, and it was when Ollie Cahill left Cork City and he broke my little schoolgirl heart. Okay, it's football related. That broke my heart as a child. I'm not going to go into anything other than that, but that killed me. It still to this day kills me. Why would he do that to me?
we were so close to having him on the pod, and we could have asked him. So close.
could have asked
we didn't
him.
get there. Yeah. Look, I spent most of my teenage years drinking. Like, you know, I didn't really. Like, yeah, I've had my heart broken a couple of times, but I'm not going to start throwing names out here.
No,
like,
don't.
so
Full name
random
them.
women around Cork, like, and we go, oh, do you know, your man there, the fackies around the podcast was talking about you the other night, like, you know. So I'm not doing that to anybody, like, you know. But yeah, but I had my heart broken, but it all led to a very happy marriage with the love of my life. So,
That's
all
nice.
positive.
That's lovely, Declan.
Oh yeah,
very patient woman though.
Unbelievably so. Nobody has any idea.
What does she make of it all when you go off to doing this pod? Presumably in a huff a lot of the time as well, because your internet is down or shit's not working.
No, like, to be fair, what does she make of it? Like, it's just my thing, like, I guess. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just like...
Do people come up to you when she's there and be on about jacking off and stuff?
A couple of times it's happened, all right. Like, you know, she just laughs. She doesn't listen. Like, she has no interest in football. She knows the football is kind of my thing, like, and she's quite happy to leave me at it, like, you know, and that's what supportive spouses do, like, you know. I support her in her stuff, and she supports me in the 40 odd hours a week I put into this stuff, like, you know.
Billy Dorney says, I think we're the best fans in the land. Bit opinionated, obviously, but sure rebels. What do you think? Are we... I'm going to follow up. And I neglected to put in patient as well, for it's taken an age to click. But sure, loving CCFC. It's like an old married couple, as we were mentioning there. Can't live with it. Can't live without it. Eileen, the best fans in the land.
Okay, first of all, I would never use the word patient to describe how Billy feels about Cork City, especially after a bad result. In fact, he's the very opposite of patient. Are Cork City fans the best in the world? No, we're not. Like, there's a core base of a good fan base. We're not. Cork, not just Cork City, but Cork sports fans in...
Okay, that's enough.
Right, does that end?
I think...
Yeah, what game was that from? Well, the whole flow of Eileen's talking was gone.
But I thought she was going to keep talking over it. I tried to play it low.
That was the European Odyssey.
Yeah.
I think...
Eileen, you were mid-flow.
I just think the Cork sporting public in general is fickle, and if things aren't going well, we kind of just bunk off. That's just not a football thing. But yeah, look, you have a core base of probably about 2,000 who are diehards. There's no doubt about that. But I think a lot of clubs have that core base. And we are very, very whingy. I'm not sure if any other fan base is as whingy as us now, to be honest. Are they? I know, I suppose they are. They are now that I think about Twitter. It's just that our club...
Bows surely have
yeah,
to
and look,
there.
it's just that the other football clubs don't get as offended by their fan base as ours do by us. So, no, but Billy, honestly now, calling yourself patient, lad, when it comes to Cork City. No, you're not.
Decky, would you consider yourself a bit opinionated?
I'd say everybody considers me a bit opinionated, Dad. I'd say, yeah. Do you know, like, here's an opinion for you. You just mentioned Bows. Here's one for the old timers. You know, so look, well, like, fan bases are passionate. We're entitled to be opinionated. We put our clubs in the hands of owners and custodians and all these things, and we expect them to perform to a level that makes the club successful. And when they're not, there's always going to be backlash. There's always going to be chicken gifts, and there's always going to be, you know, things happening around the place, like, that just mean you're...
And ironically, like, they did the most chicken thing imaginable, like...
Yeah. Look, I mean, let's not go down that road now again, because that's not where I was meaning to go. But you're correct in what you're saying, Dan. Yes, but look, yes, we're an opinionated fan base, but I think all football fan bases are opinionated, especially in the era of social media, and everybody now can have an opinion. 20 years ago, everybody had an opinion, but you told your two buddies over a pint on a Friday night, and the three of you are probably the only ones who ever heard your opinion. Now you put your opinion on social media, and thousands, millions can see and hear. Can see and hear your opinion. So it's just the world is a smaller place now, and clubs get to hear more directly from their fan base than they've ever done in the past. It's up to the clubs then to deal with that in a decent manner, in a good manner, or whatever. Some clubs do, other clubs don't. I'm not going to name clubs who do it well and clubs who don't do it well. That wouldn't be fair.
Connor Kay says, considering West Ham are looking at Jacob Brien, we could get a load of money from his sell-on clause. What should be top priority for spending that money on? Eileen.
I was going to say something, but I won't, because I'll definitely get myself blocked and everyone cancelled. It should be going into the playing budget, because we're going back up to the Premier Division. If we get a windfall from whatever, look, I think the fee that's been touted for Jacob Brien in the media is 15 million. I don't know how accurate that is or isn't. We may never know. But the playing budget for next year is just so important, because I think it's important to keep in a manager here, and it's important to keep us up, because we can't become this yo-yo club that we currently are. We have to buck that trend. So for me, that's where it has to go into. It's not going to be enough money that I can turn around and be like, oh, I want a stadium. Like, that's not it. Like, I think the money has to go into the playing budget for next year, because I can't do another year in the first division because we're scrimping on a budget. Like, and not just me. We all can't. We can't do it. It's too much.
Dickie, if you can keep it brief, what should we be spending that money on?
Oh yeah, look, I mean, if Jacob Brien goes for 50 million, then we're on about 1.5% of that. The sell-on clause is gone, right? The sell-on clause went, the 15% went when he went from Crystal Palace to Leon, and we got screwed on that because he only went for £1 million, because the same guy who owns Leon that's involved at Crystal Palace, John Textor. So we got hockeyed on that. 15% of $1 million is 150,000. He should have been it should have been 9-10 million, which would have been very nice for us. But as I said, unfortunately, we got screwed. We have about 1.5%, give or take a point of a percentage. That's 750,000 out of 50 million if he goes for 50 mil. It's a decent amount of money. It's not life changing. As Eileen says, there's certainly a certain percentage of it would have to go into the playing budget next year. I wouldn't like to see it all go in there. I think there are things you could do with facilities. I think you could do a lot for the academy. I think you could set it aside and fund academy trips for the next 5 years or longer, next 10 years. But no, I think infrastructure-wise, there are things that would have to be done, or that you would like to do as well. If we do end up in a new training ground and things like that, maybe we could go down the capital expenditure route a little bit, rather than just relying on grants and whatnot, like whatever, to do those works. Time will tell. I think there's a mixture there. I think
Probably
there's a mixture between... No, go on. I was going to say, I think there's a mixture between infrastructure and first team funding. And women's team funding as well, obviously.
Probably Fergus says, will Jack Doherty's partner having a baby spark a birth in goal scoring form? Dickie, well, I have to come to you here on this one. He's going to break out the Doherty like Tevez.
He's still our top scorer. People talk about goal scoring forms and whatnot. We're all waiting for Jack to get the next one. He hasn't played. Like, you got to remember, he missed a month. Then he started against Cove and we played exceptionally well. He scored that night. He didn't start the other night against Bray, which we'll probably talk about in a few minutes. And but he came off the bench, and I thought he was quite good when he came off the bench. So he's going to be here next year. Yeah, we like probably a bigger goal return, but as I said, he hasn't played many minutes in the last 6 weeks. So I think when his minutes get back up, then his goal return will coincide again with the amount of minutes he's playing.
Richie says, is Matt Everitt who they're looking for the 9 position? Doesn't seem like a long-term solution. Is the fact he is trialling a show that they've no one lined up? Also, any info on Sean Murray's situation? Eileen, we'll stick with the Matt Everitt stuff here anyway. Do you think it's a long-term one?
I would like to think that anybody kind of that is going to be brought in this window is with a view to the rest of the season and next season. Look, I don't want to I don't know anything about him other than what I've seen online. So, I mean, it's impossible to judge him. As Declan said earlier, I'd have faith in that Tim Clancy, if he's signing him, he likes what he sees and he's obviously done well in training. What are we not allowed to talk about Denanga with the under-20s? Is that off the table when we're talking about? Like obviously he was in with the 20s as well, so like that's another player that's been looked at. City fans will remember him. I know it was he was COVID year, so about 10 people got to see him live, but he looked like an exciting player. And Declan did, and those in the club liked him, and so like he could be another good addition coming back in. I don't think his career probably hasn't kicked on the way he hoped it would, but like there was certainly the makings of a player in him when he was here, wasn't there? Like, so I think he could be an option as well, and that'll be an interesting one to see over the coming weeks.
Jackie, if Tim Clancy is bringing in these lads, surely we'd trust him now at this point.
Oh, you'd have to. But I mean, like I compared us a couple of weeks ago. I said our rivals are now Dundalk, Galway, Bohs, Sligo. You're looking at those kind of clubs. Forget about the first division. We're promoted. You're looking ahead to next season. Sligo have signed 2 players today. Galway have signed 3 in the last couple of days, even though they're only announcing them today. They've signed Burns, who was the highest earner at Glentoran. They've signed Junior, who by all accounts was the 3rd highest earner at Glentoran. He was top scorer in the League of Ireland. Was it 2019 he was at Derry?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
I'm trying to think.
I think it was then, yeah.
Yeah, so he was top scorer in the league that year. So we know that lad knows where the net is in this league. Burns, by all accounts, is a very, very good left back and can play centre midfield as well, very like Ben Doherty at Derry City. Sligo have signed Oliver Denham on a full time. He was on loan. They've signed him permanently. They've brought in another lad from the north. I can't think of his name. Dundalk, I think, have announced 5 or 6 signings today. They've signed Hayden McCann, who was on loan at Drogheda, has left Drogheda on loan to side for Dundalk, which is going to be interesting. And then they play each other in the cup in a couple of weeks' time as well. They've signed 3 players from Scotland. So these teams, who I consider us as, are all moving ahead. Cork City are struggling to sign Sean Murray permanently or on loan for the rest of the season or whatever they want to do. The indicators are there already that the teams that we should now consider our rivals are pushing on while we're standing still, and we're standing still in a division behind them. And I know people will say, oh, well, look, the league has won, there's no need to sign players now. This is the window you do it. The window in January is a loan window from England. That's basically what that is. And you can pick up a few League of Ireland lads. But anybody who's available these days in the League of Ireland in January are either out of contract for a reason or they're going to be let go out of 2.5-year contracts because they haven't performed well enough to fulfill them. So look, the idea that we're going to change 17 players next year and bring in a whole new squad, I also think that's nonsense. It's fanciful. Football doesn't work that way. But I think we need, maybe in this window, to add like 4 starters for next year, if we possibly could. Now, I know we won't, because we've been told numerous times we don't go over budget, etc., etc. And that's the mantra, and I don't see the mantra changing. And you hear snippets around the place about next year's budget, and there's a lot of talk around it. And let's say there's people at the club at polar opposites on terms of what next year's budget should be. And we've no idea what way the cards are going to crumble or what way the cookie's going to crumble. And I can see things, potentially maybe getting messy. Just do the fucking Sean Murray deal. Just do it. Yes, like we know he's on a good wage in Glentoran. We understand that. And we know he has to move down here and he has to bring his family down, and there's all those family considerations as well. We understand that. But Sean Murray likes it here and he's quite willing to stay here. We've just got to put a deal on the table for Glentoran and for Sean Murray to get it done. And people can say, oh, look, he's 32 and he has a hip injury and the rest of it. I understand that. But if you don't do the Sean Murray deal now, that's another Premier Division quality player that you have to find for next year. You have one in the building. No, we don't have many in the building at the moment. Sean Murray is one of them. Why would you leave him walk out of the building? And that's basically what Tim Clancy, I think, was saying at his press conference. You know, when he was asked, he said, oh, if we could do something permanently or we could do something with Sean, I'd love to do it. Of course I would. So then that puts it back in the club. But as I said, we don't have that many Premier Division caliber players in the building. I don't see leaving one of them walk out as being a good move, to be honest with you. But of course, he is Glentoran's player, and if they want them back, there's nothing we can do about that.
Ian Crowley comes in and says, how long is it until at Duncan Noonan is cock blocked? The kid done good. I'd say he's a marked man now.
Sure, look, to be fair to Donica, like, I don't want to, like, Donica's a young lad. He came to us and said, look, he's still looking for someone to do match reports. I'd love to get into this crack. I'd love to do them. Would you give me a chance? And of course we would. We give anybody we'd give anybody a try in that. Like, and if other people want to do other things, just come to us and say it, and we'd give you our head and leave you off. And Donica did a great match report, and delighted to have him on board. Like, if the club, like, they wouldn't dream of it. Like, they genuinely wouldn't dream of it. If they did, like, that they wouldn't. Like, so look, no, I don't think that's a consideration. No, I should say, as head of HR, Donica actually already submitted a holiday request, put his holiday request form, so there won't be a match report from Wexford game on Thursday night because he's away. But he will be back for the Finn Harps. But he will be back for the Finn Harps game the following week, and they'll be weekly after that. But yeah, I mean, the youth of today in the door a week and looking for holidays already, Dan. Even you wouldn't try it.
Typical lad. I don't think I've taken any. I don't think I've taken any of my annual leave this year. City 1, continuity, Kevin Cheeley, 0. 2026 crowd is written down here, Declan McCormack. What's
2026 was the official crowd.
I thought you were on about like a 2 years time. What yes.
2026.
Fair play. Shit performance, absolutely haunted. Thank God for Bradley Wade. Job done. You happy enough with that? Evan McLaughlin got the goal.
That sums it up, doesn't it? Job done.
Yeah, it was poor. It was poor. I have no idea how Bray went home with nothing. Like, good goal, great ball from Greg Bulger. Evan McLaughlin does well. Good left-footed finish. That's your left back in the box, scoring the goal, so he is very high at times, which is great to see. I don't understand the team selection. I didn't understand not starting Jack Doherty. Maybe no, as we understand today, his partner gave birth today, so maybe there was some late nights and he was at home and things like that, so maybe it becomes clearer then. But as I said, I would be hoping going forward we would see the triumph.
I did play out audio on Red. Tim was asked about it, and it was because of the baby. Tim confirmed.
Right, okay, that's fair enough then. That is fair enough, because they said going forward you want to see that triumvirate of Bulger, Doherty and Sean Murray.
Jesus, triumphant going to be the new buzzword around here now.
It is, yeah. But sure, look, here's the thing. Like, we just christened them the triumvirate last week, and now they're taking Sean Murray away from us. So maybe the whole reason Sean Murray is going back is just to get back at us and stop us using the word triumvirate going forward, That's how petty things are, no? But look, we'll have to see what happens. But like, yeah, it wasn't great. Bradley Wade, like, just unbelievable. Eileen sang his praises earlier on, but the save from Magnusson's header was like incredible. Like, it genuinely was, because I'm watching the stream, as I said, because I'm babysitting. My wife's gone to Glenn Crowe's concert, and I can't. The ball, like, he makes contact, and I'm just like, fuck, we're 1-0, and like, bang, out of nowhere, like, he saves it, and it's just like, incredible save, like, genuinely incredible.
Well, as we said, have a feeling this won't be close, but it's MVP time again, following a 1-0 win against Kevin Cheeley.
Dan, hang on.
What happened?
No, we have
the most prestigious award in world football.
Jesus Christ.
It's the other three amigos MVP.
It's been a long time since I heard that one now.
It's been a while, hasn't it? But they're all back. They're all back.
Like, the gang is back together. But there was certainly no surprise here. I think this might have been the most winningest margin. Bradley Wade, 71% of the vote here. In second place was McLaughlin. Again, probably no surprise. Balger in third and Dara Crowley in fourth. We also said we will take that 1-0 win and run, but tell us your thoughts in just 2 words. Colm Nolan.
Dan.
When he tries up.
Sorry, I know your head down there and trying to get your attention for the last 30 seconds. I'm just wondering what the other 29% of people saw or thought they saw when they were voting for the MVP, because like Brad Wade only got 71%. So as I said, what did the other 29 see that made them vote for somebody else other than Brad Wade? You know,
Colm Nolan says Mullins Derby, boring Bray,
answer,
cruise control, first division. Wayne says Miss Karaoke. Stephen Burke says super keeper. David Crowley says coma inducing. Noah Long says what game. Duncan Noonan says Wade saves. Billy Dorney says Greg Bulger. Obviously he was one of the people who voted outside of Brad Wade. Magpie says Wade and Bulger. Peter Bellied Hoover says that's entertainment. Sean says Keane DeCrow. Stephen says hard watch. Roy O'Sullivan, Brad Wade, Ian Draper, super keeper. Joe Langford, Bradley Worldy. Richie says Waderful. John Fitzpatrick says Parking Nightmare. Anthony Falvey says Bradley Schmeichel. Jack Eller says Brilliant Bradley. Thomas says Brad Yashin. Ben Hamblin says Brad Wade. DB says Going Down. Scott CCFC says Super Keeps. Cablo Rigo says Jobs Done. Dennis says Best Keeper. Liam Roach, Paint Drying. Con Bradnificent. Owen, Middle Finger Keeper. The Donny Ford Ultra Mega Sergeant Pursuit says Hawk Tua. Darragh Hogan says Piss Poor. And Owen Donovan says Coleman Shite. All the controversial ones are usually in that probable spam one down the bottom. But there you go. Anything you want to pick up on there? Do you have a favourite?
There was one over about Bradley Schmeichel, was it, or something?
Bradley Schmeichel, yeah.
But yeah, but the whole game was about Brad Wade. If Brad Wade wasn't there, we lose 3-1, 4-1, you know? So he earned us 3 points.
Did we have any You Say It Best?
No, we didn't.
Okay.
We haven't had a You Say It Best in a while. There was a editorial decision to step away from them for a little while. They were heading in a direction that nobody was really comfortable with.
Wonder who that would be about. The Wexicans away this Thursday night, 7:45. Changes, question mark. Are Wexford shit, question mark. Well, to be fair, Wexford have given us a game, each game this season, Dickie. That was every time we played them.
They have, yeah, but they're still shit. I know.
Let's say about us,
I know. It's like the same thing every week, but like the whole division is muck, and it's just just go up there and win, it's. And I know Tim Clancy will say there's no easy games, and I understand why he has to say it and whatnot, but they're relatively easy games for a professional outfit. Thursday night in Wexford, it's not ideal, I think, to be fair. The pitch is probably going to be very heavy down there, Eileen. You know, it was the women played down there on Saturday. Then Wexford had an under 17 or an under 19 game on it after the women's game finished, and that pitch gets used a lot, and it is one of the most used pitches in the country. And if there's any bit of rain or anything, it could be very heavy underfoot and things like that. So look, we went 1-0 up down there when Jaden scored our first trip down there, and we kind of embarrassed ourselves after that. They drew the game 1-1. It wasn't a good performance. I would hope that the lack of ingenuity and the lack of what's the word I'm looking for? Just like the lack of a decent performance down there the last time might actually spur them on to say, okay, we owe these boys one, and there'll be City fans travel down on Thursday evening and they deserve to see a good performance. And as I said, hopefully the triumvirate is back in midfield and we kick on. We might see McKevitt up top. Who knows? Let's just hope he works hard, because that's the most important thing for number 9. And we'll see where that takes us then. And I'd imagine it's a game we will win, hopefully.
We will win this league in Kerry. How have you that one figured out?
When I was out the other day driving in the car, listening to the pre-recorded OTB segment on a Saturday afternoon, it dawned on me that we're 13 points clear now, Dan. When we go to Kerry is the 6th last game. So if we leave Kerry 16 points ahead that night, we've won the league. That's only 3 points more than what we have now. So we could win it beforehand. But what if the situation arises where we're going to win the league in Kerry? With everything that went on with the first game down there, the fact that there's only 1,000 people allowed into the ground anyway. So it got me thinking, should there be a proactive step taken now whereby they agree to flip those fixtures? And instead of Kerry coming up here in a few weeks' time, we go down there. And that game then... So we go down there in a few weeks' time, and then that game I'm talking about is then played in Turner's Cross. So if we do win the league that night, which is the 6th last game, it's in Turner's Cross, and there's no issue with tickets in Kerry or anything else.
Well, they won't know because you're the one who mentioned it. So, but it would have been a great idea.
I think we'll have a won before then anyway, so it's fine. I don't think it'll be an issue. I think we'll win it by the end of August. I'm going to be very optimistic. And also, I don't actually think anyone cares. I don't think it's going to be like the last time we won the first division with great scenes. I just think we just need to get out of here and just get back where we belong.
Jesus, there was fireworks and there was the whole shebang.
Yeah,
what a night, to be fair, the time we beat Wexford. But yeah, Jesus Christ.
I just can't see that. Yeah.
Now it's time to be forget that. Get back where we belong as quick as possible.
So, yeah.
Decky, do you have anything for the room 101 this week?
Oh man, I didn't even think of it, to be honest with you. No, I think I've given out enough about different bits and pieces this week.
What do you think about Everton playing Sligo? You going to go up to it?
No, I'm not. Under any circumstances.
Never mind.
Yeah,
so look, it's a whole Seamus Coleman thing, which is fine. It's brilliant. It's great for Sligo because it will be a big seller for them. They will sell that out because obviously they'll make a big shabiz about Seamus Coleman, 60 grand, etc., etc. There will be plenty of Everton supporters come over because they have this thing about Sligo anyway, and they want to see Sligo and all that. So it's a great fixture for Sligo. It's a really good way of earning money for them, and it'll be interesting to see what they do with that money, whether they put it back into the club in terms of a bigger playing budget for next year. But it's going to be a sellout, and it's going to be a big event for Sligo, to be fair to them.
Yeah, sure. We'll sell ours up with Benfica in a few years' time. I think before your internet gets any worse somehow when you drop out completely, we're going to end it here. So huge thanks to Eileen Ring for stepping in the place of Wayne Mullins at short notice.
Hopefully that's the end of his holidays now. You've had enough holidays, Wayne.
He's taken a fair few, isn't he?
Lad.
He's taking a fair few now. How many days are we entitled to annual leave, Decky, a year?
What's in your contract, Dan? Because all your contracts are different. No, I'm not going to tell you lies. I can't remember now off the top of my head what was put in your contract. But look, just send in the holiday request form. I'll get to it eventually. There'll be no bother.
Right, on that note, adios, amigos. Love Island's on.
Adios.